we will now do a watch release that seems to have completely vanished almost after it's been launched. And I thought when I first saw, this is going to be all the chat for the week, but in fact, we've covered it. A couple of other people have covered it, but it doesn't seem to have really hit the zeitgeist for some reason. I thought it would. David, you reviewed or covered the new release of the Tudor Pelagos FXD GMT Zulu time watch. What is Zulu time in this world of time zone changes?
It's military time. It's basically a reference time that you can, just look at wherever you are in the world. It removes the chance of confusion when somebody says, okay, we attack at 5 p.m. Okay, but 5 p.m. where is it? Like which time zone? So that's why it's Zulu time. You look at Zulu time and it's 5 p.m. for everybody who's checking Zulu time. So it's a fancy way of saying it's basically a GMT. So you can fantasize about flying somewhere over the Gulf and in a whatever helicopter of your choosing and saying, oh, Zulu time, let's have a beer at 6 p.m. Zulu time, basically that's the sole function there.
So I'm right in saying that Zulu time is like, it's a nothing burger. It's just whatever time you set it at on this watch. There's not like a fifth hand which shows Zulu time. It's just
not going to explode if you set it to another time zone.
No, it's like GMT. It's like GMT. It's just like a more mil-spec version of saying GMT. It's like the universal coordinated time that, but GMT, UTC, we got other versions. You can say Zulu time, but it all kind of
I like that they weren't
thing.
ballsy enough to just take GMT off the dial. Like, just call it the Zulu time. Like, but they could do it.
Does Rolex own that? Is Rolex getting protective over that with the master? They are the master of the GMT. This would have to be an inferior GMT because Rolex already has the master
GMT
version.
doesn't even indicate the complication. It's just a term that we've used to associate with these watches. You don't have to use the
That's
term
kind
GMT.
of my point.
It does, because what you do is you set the regular hour hand to your local time and you set the GMT hand to Zulu time. So this way you know where you are and what time it is, but you also can read Zulu time easily.
What I'm saying is they could have just called it the Pelagos Zulu and have been cooler.
Yeah, if it was real Zulu time, you wouldn't be able to change the hand. Like, it would just be, that's the universal time, and it would come preloaded as to what universal time
I've just
was,
Googled
and
this.
you wouldn't be able
I'm
to
just so
change
sick
it.
of the term GMT. Okay, I know it's very important to people in the United Kingdom. I get it. But enough of the GMT. I've heard it so many times.
We lost an empire. At least give us GMT.
But Zulu time and GMT are exactly the same. Like, Zulu time is GMT.
Yes, that's why
it's
I
not
said
like
it.
another separate military.
Yeah, it's just like mil-spec version. It's like saying 1400 instead of 2 p.m. you just made it sound cooler.
Okay, let's give this some judgment. We'll stop sharing the screen. Is it a hit, a miss, or a maybe? 1, 2, 3, go. Yeah, I'm giving it a maybe just because of the whole Zulu GMT time. I think it should be an unsettable hand. It should just be, it should come, and that's just the time it is. It's Zulu time.
Rick, that basically is what it is. It's a mechanical watch, so it can't just stay running indefinitely. You set the red hand, the GMT hand, to Zulu time. You set your local one to your local time, and that's effectively what how it's supposed to function. It doesn't come preset because it has stopped during transit. It's got a power reserve of 70 hours, but like that's exactly how you're supposed to use it.
If it was a true military watch, they would be able to deliver it to you with military accuracy within the 70-hour power reserve, preset to GMT, and you wouldn't be able to change it. And it'd be like the Breitling emergency. Every time it came and it was running short of battery, someone would come and sort it out for you. You wouldn't be allowed to set it yourself. You'd have to sign away a wee disclaimer that says you must only have the GMT hand set to GMT, not any other local time you choose to monitor while you're traveling the world. That should be the rule. Ariel, how'd you vote?
Apparently, I'm the only one that gave it a hit, even though I'm outwardly GMT fatigued. As an American, there's nothing we like more than to play military dress up, especially if we don't actually have to fight anything. So this is a perfect military cosplay watch. Okay, it's very pretty looking. You got a strap that is sort of this unspecified, I'm part of some unit. I don't know what that little targeting anchor thing is. Again, I would love it without the GMT, but why not? I think it's pretty. It's the cheapest watch I think we've talked about so far, right? I don't know what it costs. I just know it's the cheapest. I love all the weird limitations, like you can only use their straps, right, or some other type of straight strap that goes through it. I don't know. It's pretty, even though there's a lot of complaints we could have about it. It's those quirks, right?
Yeah, it is a weird emblem that's on the keeper. I'm not sure who invented that as possibly, or whether it is a real thing. Maybe it was the same folk that put the...
I promise you, it's something Marine Nationale related. We're just not cool, or we're not classified enough.
It
to
shows
know exactly
that your
what
aim
that
is so
bullseye
bad you
thing
can
is.
barely hit a boat in the water.
So
Battleship Champion 2024.
So it's French military is what we're saying. So like not a good military, like one of the poorer militaries. Is that what we're saying?
No, this is Marine Nationale related.
Alright,
no,
okay.
like the FXD. This is Marine Nationale.
Are
That's
they-
what the thing is on the back,
they
right?
good?
This is something
Yeah,
with the Marine
no,
Nationale.
red, white,
that
blue,
done-
French. I get it.
Right. Okay. That's fine. So it's not just been done by the same people that did the design emblem
This
for
was.
Bremen.
This is
I'm
what.
saying.
What does the French military have? Like 2 boats? I mean, what do they got?
I mean, yeah, they've got an aircraft carrier. It's not a very good
Oh,
one,
good.
but you know.
Not
it's-
very
it's
good
there.
one. You mentioned a mediocre
Well-
aircraft carrier.
Well, they're spending all their money on tutors if they bought
Yeah,
their aircraft
They can't
carriers and
fight,
less
but their
tutors,
soldiers
right?
are just so handsomely dressed.
They're-
Okay.
They're always on. Well, see, the problem. This is okay. Let's just get a bit, European, judgment here. It's a GMT watch, which is Greenwich Mean Time. That comes from a whole debate that happened many moons ago about whether the central time meridian would be in Greenwich or be in Paris. So the irony is not lost on me.
Rick, it's a Zulu time watch.
Yeah, but
It's
it
not a
says
But it
GMT,
says
it's a
GMT on the.
Zulu
It says
time.
It says
GMT on the
G-
dial. It should
so-
say
so
Zulu
do we
time on the
think-
dial.
So do we think that's why they called it Zulu time? Because the French refused, Marine Nationale refused to have GMT included in the watch title, because that just shows another battle that the French military lost.
They could just
when
call
they
it Paris
decided
Mean Time.
as to
Just
whether
put
it was gonna be
PMT and see
Greenwich
if
or
anyone
Paris.
notices.
PMT. Yeah, that's never going to be misinterpreted. Okay, where did we get to? David, did we get your opinion? You don't remember now?
It's all a blur, isn't it?
It's all a
I
blur.
gave it a maybe because I would get another Pelagos. I'm deeply in love with the LHD for some reason. I would just go for that titanium bracelet, cool colorway, all the rest of it. That's what I would get. And I'm not a fan of this FXD, like this fixed lock structure on these. So yeah.
Okay, good stuff, Guy.
I give it a maybe. I think our Light Mania is the same colours and looks a lot better for a tenth of the price. To get that out there,
And is yours a Zulu time?
I'll open this up to a little debate if we've got time. I don't get, and no one does this, and I know the history, but like a GMT gives you 3 time zones that's the point of the rotating bezel. But the Bremont one has the 24 hours kind of on the dial and has a dive bezel. And then you get 2 time zones and the timing function. And surely that's better.
No, the old Bremont did that. The new updated Bremont S300 swapped it out for a 24-hour bezel and then made it unidirectional on top of that, which is the absolute worst thing you could have done to that watch. But I'm with you. I think a GMT watch should have a fixed 24-hour scale. If you want to have 3 time zones with the bezel, great. But I've always looked at the Rolex GMT Master 2 and thought, if you put just one extra 24-hour scale on it, the bezel would be a lot more practical, because as soon as you rotate the bezel to access a third time zone, you've lost your reference point for the second time zone. So but Grand Seiko, Islander watch, Notice, a bunch of other guys put a little fixed 24-hour chapter ring, and that completely remedies
Yeah,
the
but I
issue.
think a fixed chapter ring, and then you have a dive bezel, then you've got a timing feature as well. I think that's just a much.
Is this the new D-Trash we're hearing about, Guy? Are you going to make a Zulu time?
Why can't we go the Doxa route? Just have both scales on there. Not that Doxa does both those scales, but Doxa has bezels with 2 scales on there.
Yeah, I just think it's a weird use of a bezel, and like on the Polar Explorer or something where it is fixed and it doesn't turn, makes sense. But I just for a rotating bezel.
Are we about to bring up all those Panerai GMTs that you can't use as a GMT?
I
'cause
was
there's no
just about
scales?
to say. I was just about to say. But that's the Panerai is a 12-hour GMT display, and it just has a day-night indicator. But mostly, you can just look out the window to determine.
Well, and the GMT will never be the most useless function on the Panerai because there's the equation of time sitting right below it that absolutely takes the cake.
Always the most useless complication, but still the prettiest. Ripley, how did you judge this watch?
I said it's a maybe. Unlike David, I actually really like the FXD concept. I like how there's no point of failure with the strap. I mean, short of the strap just unfurling on your wrist, there's, this fixed bars mean it's pretty much going to stay there short of disaster. It's a bit too big for my wrist. I really wish they do a FXD style watch in a slightly smaller case diameter, especially because it doesn't have the same depth rating or the helium escape valve as the full-size Pelagos. It feels like it has a much lower depth rating. You could easily get that down to a more truncated package. So I wish it was smaller. But the thing that kind of irks me on this, other than the fact that I'm so far removed from being in the Marine Nationale, I'd feel like I was LARPing wearing it. I just, it's weird that it's like vintage inspired, yet it's supposed to be this, contemporary collaboration with this active military unit. The tinted loom, the kind of washed out colors. Part of why I thought the original Pelagos FXD was such a hit was because it felt like a very, very modern Tudor. And this feels like they did that, but then gave it like the Black Bay treatment and sort of made it vintage leaning, but then it has this contemporary military tie-in. So it kind of feels a little bit confused as far as what it wants to be. I would have preferred to see this in just like crisp black, white, make it as modern looking as possible. Maybe do blue if you wanted to do the French Navy thing in there, but like it just thematically seems a little bit confused. But in concept, Pelagos FXD GMT, I love that in concept, so it's a maybe.